Hi guys, welcome back. And last time we were here in What If Raditz raised Kakarot, we saw how our main characters would handle learning of their planet's destruction by the hands of Frieza, and how they plan on one day returning the favour by killing Frieza and destroying his empire. With ending on them being sent on another mission, we see how they are sent on mission after mission after mission. Time flies by. Every year, more missions. And with more missions leads to more damage, and more damage leads to more zenkais. The three localized Saiyans grow strong because of this, and they soon catch up with the elite Nappa, thanks to them dealing not damage to only the planet but one another. This causes a lot more zenkais to happen over time. However, this leads to Frieza taking note of the Saiyan's power, as it slowly starts to increase and brings back fears of the Super Saiyan to Frieza. This leads to Frieza keeping a close eye on the power levels of the Saiyans. After every couple of missions, he takes note of them, and this is where we join our heroes. Good. I'm glad to see you Saiyans are not only performing well on missions, but your strength has also improved a lot. Frieza says this while stirring the wine glass in his hands. With him having taken a note of their powers, he then goes quiet for a moment, and this leads to Kakarot, who Frieza has grown quite fond of over the years, saying, "Thank you, Lord Frieza. If that is everything, we will get out of your way." Frieza nods his head as the Saiyans leave, with him smashing the wine glass as soon as the door closes behind them, with him asking how much of an increase have they all gotten, leading to Zarbon responding, "It seems Prince Vegeta hasn't grown whatsoever. He hasn't been challenged during the most frequent missions, so a Zenkai has been quite far away from him. However, there are definitely increases inbound. However, with the others, they have all increased at least by 1,000 since their last reading, my lord, with Raditz being the one who increased the most." Frieza's annoyed, but doesn't think too much of it, knowing that even as a giant monkey, they couldn't kill him, with him then telling Zarbon to keep an eye on them, to make sure they don't grow any stronger, and if the prince is to hit a mark above 20,000, he and Dodoria have the right to kill him. Now, outside of Frieza's office, the Saiyans find themselves in the mess hall. They are all sat around the same table, eating. However, there isn't much talking. Nappa is sour. After all, he's been caught up to by the low class, and this has annoyed him and put a lot of strain on the relationship between the low class and the elite. After all, Nappa can't push them around anymore. They've caught up with him, and in the past this has led to them fighting, with Nappa often losing thanks to the Saiyans being much younger and being around the same strength as him. Now, as for Vegeta, he's annoyed after having his power constantly monitored. This means that he can't ever fully enjoy a battle just in case he gets a Zenkai. He knows that Frieza is watching them for some reason, and he fears that if he was to grow any stronger, they would be killed. And this leads to a lot of hostile air from the elites. However, Kakarot, Raditz, and Turles happily talk away after a few minutes of silence. They cheerfully share the destruction of the most recent planet, a planet that they had all gone to. Kakarot shares how much he enjoyed destroying that capital and even managed to find a strong soldier there, with him looking over to Nappa saying how he should have taken that fight. But this causes Nappa to stand up and shout, shouting, "That was my fight, you little punk!" Kakarot brushes this off, saying, "If you wanted to fight, you should have just moved your old ass a bit faster." This causes veins to pop out of his head, and he's about ready to fight when Kakarot picks up his tray and turns towards Turles and Raditz, saying how he's going to go work out and then hit the hay before the next mission comes along. Turles and Raditz laugh at this as they join him. Vegeta tells Nappa to sit back down, as he does. They share a look before they both take their scouters off and speak. "I hate how cocky they've gotten. They've only grown a little bit stronger. And especially that Kakarot. He's the weakest out of all of us, but the way he talks to us elites, he must think he's better than us. I hate him with all of my gut." Vegeta scoffs, saying, "The power may have increased, but they are still low class. If it would make you relax a little bit, on our next mission, let's put them back in their place. I would love to knock that smug look off Raditz's face. but we need to be careful. Frieza is clearly watching us, and he's expecting us to get stronger, and maybe expecting something that isn't coming. We need to keep calm, especially around him. Now eat your food and let's leave. Nappa visibly agrees. He's also picked up on the fact that Frieza has been keeping a very, very close eye on them. So the pair finish eating before heading off towards their sleeping chambers. Now, a few minutes ago, outside the dining area, we see Kakarot, Turles, and Raditz entering a sleeping chambers, with the older two Saiyans sitting down while Kakarot starts to go through a very basic workout. Turles and Raditz don't really get Kakarot's obsession to work out. After all, the easiest way to get stronger is through zenkais, and they have been doing that over the years, but they have always seen Kakarot work out, even when he was young. But Raditz does remember that even their father was pretty fond of basic workouts. It seemed to keep him physically ready for anything. Plus, this planet's gravity is similar to that of planet Vegeta's, so it must help out a little bit. Turles and Raditz share a look before turning off their scouters, with Kakarot doing the same, with Raditz speaking up, saying, "You need to stop pushing Nappa's buttons, Kakarot. You're going to end up in a fight with him." Turles seconds this opinion, but Kakarot laughs, saying, "A fight against that old geezer isn't even a warm-up. It's the prince I want to fight. Show him that us low class aren't something to underestimate." Raditz agrees with his brother. However, he also understands that there's a massive difference in the power between themselves and Vegeta. "Look, Kakarot, you and I both know that Vegeta and Nappa are going to be valuable assets in the future." Kakarot nods his head. "I know this, and I have no plan on killing either of them. As much fun as it would be, but I need to show them the powers and everything. Sometimes a good brain is stronger than a strong fist." Kakarot stops his workout while saying this, causing a bit of silence between the Saiyans. However, Turles speaks up and asks,
So, what do you think, Kakarot? At this rate, do you think we have any chance ever to beat Lord Frieza?
This causes the Saiyan to go into a deep thought, going quiet once again. But Raditz, his older brother, speaks up for him. "Maybe it's time we bring in the prince to get his help. Who knows, maybe his power and the Brunt's power might give us a bit of an advantage." They think for a few seconds, with Kakarot speaking up, saying, "On the next mission, we will let them in on our goal. Then we'll enter our next stage of our plan." With them all agreeing, Raditz and Turles get some sleep while Kakarot continues his workout late into the night, where he starts planning out the next mission and how they will overthrow Frieza. You see, Kakarot, in this timeline, being the weakest Saiyan, had to grow strong in a different way. He is a genius in terms of battle and outside of it even. He made up for his low power by having a great mind, and now was somewhat of a de facto leader of the other two Saiyans in the room with him. Kakarot starts thinking of multiple ways to beat Frieza, with him running through different ideas in his head. We could try a sneak attack, try and get some good hits in before we begin the battle, but the Scowlers would pick us up, plus we are way too weak to do any serious damage. So maybe a suicide attack from one of us might do the job. However, that's not ideal, since at best we might only injure him, and that means we would have to give up a fighter to take down someone who is much stronger than us. That leaves me with two options. Both are going to be a long-term move, but could work. However, at the minimum, we need the prince to join us. But having Nappa would make this a whole lot easier. The Saiyan halfway through his push-up groans loudly, annoyed. He wants so desperately to be free from Frieza, just to go off on his own, destroy, battle, do anything he wants, but right now he's trapped. He knows that the only way he's going to beat Frieza is by playing the long game, and it's the only way he can win, and at least in the meantime, he can grow stronger. So for now, he's going to continue playing a good soldier. So with him having made up his mind, he hits the hay with the other Saiyans. They all get a new mission, with the 5 Saiyans heading off towards their next planet. With the low-class Saiyans not knowing about the upcoming battle, the elites are about to jump them. The trip takes a while, but soon they arrive on the planet, with the teams about to split off when a crushing sound can be heard from behind the low class. Kakarot, Raditz and Turles turn to see the Saiyan elites having crushed their scouters, with Nappa saying, "It's time to put you low class in your place." With this confusing everyone, the giant Saiyan rushes towards the group. Soon, Kakarot is knocked away and soon in a massive battle with Nappa. Nappa loads a load of good hits thanks to Kakarot not being on guard, with this meaning that he's put to the ground pretty fast. Raditz is about ready to rush over and help Kakarot, but Vegeta steps in saying how they have to fight him. With Raditz going to ask what's going on, however, he soon feels a fist hitting his gut. Vegeta laughs. "You're in a fight with me, you low-class scum." With Turles not wanting to watch from the side, he throws a massive punch towards the prince. This not only gets him off his friend and actually sends him flying away a little bit, however, it doesn't do much damage to him as Vegeta rubs away the mark on the side of his face. With Raditz gulping a bit before Turles shouts out for his friend to get his head in the game. This snaps Raditz out of his trance as he looks over to Kakarot, who stood up after getting hit by Nappa. With Raditz seeing how his brother is smiling like a crazy person, with him smashing his scouter on the side of his face. He takes a fighting pose. With Raditz seeing his brother get ready for the fight, he and Turles also share a look and destroy their scouters, and take a fighting stance. With Raditz saying to Vegeta, "If you want to lose that much, bring it." This annoys the prince, as the battle begins. Kakarot, after getting hit a few times, is actually pretty annoyed, as he rushes towards Nappa. With the older Saiyan about ready to block, he soon faked out by a hit from Goku, faking him with a kick and then going in for a punch. It sends Nappa flying to the side. It doesn't send him far and he skids across the ground. With Kakarot surprised that Nappa managed to recover from that, he's soon on him again. This time though, instead of going for a punch, he opens his palm just before impact. He slams Nappa's head straight into the ground, and soon after slamming his head into the ground, an explosion of ki comes out of Kakarot's palm. This hammers Nappa straight into the ground just a little bit more, but the Saiyan Brunt doesn't care too much as he grabs Kakarot's leg and slams him next to him. The pair both make a massive crater where one another is buried. Nappa and Kakarot both get back up, and Kakarot gestures for Nappa to come towards him. The Saiyan, annoyed by this, charges, however Kakarot effortlessly dodges the attack, then dodges again and again and again. He's easily dodging Nappa's moves, and it's almost like Kakarot knows what Nappa's about to do before he even does it. With the Saiyan just smiling the whole time through this, he eventually goes in for a hit on Nappa's gut. This wins the big Saiyan as Kakarot then pulls Nappa in by his collar and headbutts him, staggering him just a little bit more. With Kakarot then laughing a little bit, saying, "This is much easier than I was expecting." I'll be honest, I'm actually a little disappointed. I thought I would at least get, a bit more roughed up. But I suppose that's to be expected when you're an old-ass man fighting the new generation. Nappa, pissed off, rushes towards the Saiyan, but Kakarot once again starts dodging with ease. He then lands another few hits in on Nappa before sending him flying away. Nappa shouts out, "How are you doing this?" With Kakarot saying, "Pretty simple. I'm at the bottom of this food chain. Out of all of us Saiyans, I'm the weakest, and I get that. It won't stay like that. But right now, that's how it is. However, you, on the other hand, you are near the top, just under Vegeta, which means you've had to worry about two things, the person above you and the people below. Turles and Raditz have called up to you a lot, and that means you had to push yourself just a little bit harder. And this means you've been panicking about the person above and below you, whereas I'm at the bottom. No one's below me. I've only had to look up. And looking up, I've learned everything you guys do. I know all of your moves. I know how you fight. And more importantly, I know your weaknesses. Just because I have the lowest power level doesn't mean I'm the weakest. Now show me what your Saiyan anger and your elite class will do when I can already predict everything you're about to do." Kakarot takes a fighting stance, however he puts one arm behind his back. This once again enrages Nappa as he rushes towards him. Nappa swings wildly, however Kakarot's able to dodge and parry any blows that come towards him. The power level difference isn't enough to help Nappa out here, with Kakarot then once again blocking a hit and kneeing Nappa straight in the gut, making the Saiyan cough up blood. Kakarot laughs as he then hammers Nappa straight into the ground. Kakarot then landing a massive kick to the big Saiyan's skull, knocking him completely out. Kakarot sighs as he falls to the floor on his knees. In those few hits Nappa managed to land earlier, it had done a lot more damage than the Saiyan was letting on, with him even grabbing his arm, feeling that it's broken. He's annoyed, but at least happy he managed to beat an elite this way. He takes a moment to check around to see if he can see his brother, Turles, or even Vegeta, but they obviously aren't in his line of sight. He sighs and then starts looking for them the old-fashioned way, heading off in the direction he believes they would have gone from where he last saw them. Over with the battle between Turles and Raditz versus Vegeta, the low-class warriors are having a hard time closing the gap in power between themselves and Vegeta. His power is massive compared to theirs, and even with them working together, he's able to hold them off. But luckily, they do have some combo tricks up their sleeve. These two have been best friends since they were children. They understand how each other work, and they understand each other's moves to a massive degree. They also believe in the fact that Kakarot can win the fight against Nappa and will soon be here, so they just need to buy a small bit of time. With them breaking out into this fight, they hold Vegeta off quite well, and the Prince is toying with them. However, he can tell that this is a very serious matter and he needs to take this fight somewhat seriously himself. So this means that the two low class are taking massively heavy blows, with them being pretty bruised up only a few minutes into the fight. Whereas Vegeta has hardly taken any damage. He's been scuffed up a little bit, but nothing major. The fight breaking away for just a few seconds as the two low class huff and puff, trying to figure out what to do. When Turles speaks up, asking Raditz if he remembers the manoeuvre they did to win the tournament all those years back. Raditz thinks for a second but then remembers. He's unsure if it'll work, but it's worth a try. Raditz begins to rush in as Turles follows along behind him. They rush towards Vegeta, however they stop weirdly a few feet away from him. Both smirk as they shoot a massive blast towards the ground, making a huge cloud of smoke. This blocking Vegeta's eyesight, he begins to shoot rapidly into every direction. The Saiyans on the outside are able to easily dodge, as Turles then is that Vegeta won't feel any effect to grab his tail. They've got to use their biggest and strongest attack to do some damage now while they have the chance. Raditz agrees as they both prepare their strongest attack in their arsenal. Raditz starts getting ready to use his double Sunday, as Turles gets ready to use his kill driver. The two get ready and soon throw their attacks in. The two attacks combine, making the killer Sunday. Just before the impact hits the ground, they see the sight of Vegeta jumping backwards out of the dust cloud. This means he narrowly avoids their attack from a close range blast. However, he still gets hit by the explosion that follows. This causes him to ragdoll a little bit and even destroy some of his armour. However, the Prince is mostly fine, as he sits there and looks over to them. And he actually gives them a bit of praise, saying how if that attack was to have hit, it probably would have done a lot of damage, and maybe even turned the tide of this fight. But they are still low class and don't stand a chance compared to him. Hearing this, the two gulp a little bit, but soon get ready to fight once again. Vegeta has taken a small bit of damage, like I said, but it's not a lot to turn the tide of the fight. But thanks to these two's coordination, they are making sure that when Vegeta lands a hit, they get a hit in just to confirm that it's an even trade. Even though Vegeta hurts a lot more, they are still getting some hits in. Battle continues for another few minutes. Kakarot flies towards them, having spotted them from a distance thanks to the massive explosion which happened. But trying to conserve some of his energy, he flew at a much slower pace. But once he got close and saw the damage that Vegeta was doing, he decided to pick up the pace. With Kakarot showing up, Vegeta is annoyed, knowing that Nappa must have lost. He's unsure of whether Kakarot would have killed the old Saiyan, but right now he doesn't care. Kakarot puts up his fists, getting ready to fight, with him shouting out to his brother and his friend. If you two are so weak and can't keep up with him, go catch your breath. I'll be able to deal with the Prince all by myself. With Kakarot cockily smiling. Turles and Raditz are completely confused. They know there's a huge difference in power, but they also trust that Kakarot isn't an idiot and know he wouldn't really pick a fight he would lose, especially with the Prince. Vegeta is hysterical. He knows more than anyone that he is the strongest Saiyan. He's an elite. He's the Prince. He won't lose to a low class. But he's looking forward to playing with Kakarot. Vegeta shouting out, "When I've got you on death's door, don't go begging for your life. You're the one who brought this upon yourself." Kakarot shakes his head, knowing that he's agreed to this, but he's looking forward to it. His Saiyan blood's pumping, and he has an idea of how to win. With Vegeta thinking that he's being way too cocky, he rushes straight towards Kakarot and lands one massive blow before the Saiyan could even understand what happened. This sends Kakarot skidding straight across the forest and eventually crashing into a tree, taking it down with him. Vegeta disappears from where he was and appears right above Kakarot. With Kakarot quickly dodging, he manages to avoid the hammer arm that was coming down towards him by the skin of his teeth. Thinking fast, Kakarot blasts a quick blast towards Vegeta, hoping to stagger the prince. However, the prince is relentless and rushes straight towards Kakarot once again. Kakarot once again goes on the defensive, beginning to weave and bob between trees, hoping to find an opening. His original plan was to use Vegeta's battle style against him. He knows how Vegeta works and he knows how he operates, but the power gap is just way too big at the moment. He needs to fight much smarter than he currently is. Vegeta is tearing down this forest trying to get to Kakarot, but the Saiyan has got enough speed to keep his distance. Kakarot at some point even kicks down a tree and flings it straight towards the prince, hoping to slow him down. All it does is annoy him. Alot and Raditz, who have been watching from the sidelines, are about ready to jump in when Kakarot shoots them a quick look, which tells them all they need to know. They know Kakarot wants them to stay out of this fight. With them understanding this, they would also want to have this fight alone, but understand that they need to have everyone alive right now. So they begin to charge up an attack, getting ready for whenever they see the opening. They're going to hit Vegeta hard and hit him fast whenever Kakarot gives them the opening. Kakarot can see them doing this, and even though he doesn't like it, he agrees. Kakarot begins to go on the offensive. Kakarot quickly throws a punch straight towards the prince, which is caught with ease. However, Kakarot then grabs the head of the prince and knees him straight in the face. This doesn't do much, but it draws a bit of blood from Vegeta's nose. Kakarot lets out a quick laugh, however he then feels a knee hit him straight in the gut, as he's then hit straight in the face by one of Vegeta's fists. He then grabs hold of the young Saiyan's tail, and Vegeta slams him straight into the earth, letting out a laugh of victory. However, Kakarot speaks up saying, "If you think I'm still willed to my tail, you've got another thing coming." With one of Kakarot's legs kicking Vegeta out from under his own weight, sending Vegeta falling towards the ground. Kakarot quickly jumps up and jumps away from Vegeta. The two look at one another. Vegeta's mildly impressed. He expected the young Saiyan to stay down after that, but he can see that Kakarot is near the end. He can see that one of his arms was clearly broken by Nappa. He can also see that he's running out of energy very fast. Kakarot can feel his energy supply very, very heavily drained, and he can feel almost every bone in his body aching, but he's enjoying this fight. Also see that Vegeta is enjoying it, whether he's showing it through his sick, sadistic smile or the bloodlust in his eyes, but you could tell that they were both enjoying this, even though he was losing. Vegeta is actually impressed at how well Kakarot's done. He wasn't expecting him to last this long, and even though he played like a coward near the start, now he's fighting like a Saiyan. It's actually kind of impressive. He also picked up on the fact that Kakarot clearly understands his fighting style and has been working on a way to counter it, clearly shown by the fact that he managed to gain some upper ground in some certain areas, and even grew a resistance to getting his tail grabbed. Kakarot definitely is impressive for a low class, but doesn't stand a chance against the prince. Kakarot very slowly gets ready to fight again. His body is very worn and torn. He doesn't have much left in him. Vegeta laughs, saying, "I wasn't expecting you to make it this far. I thought one attack would break you. I underestimated you, Kakarot. Unfortunately, I'm still going to kill you." Kakarot laughs, saying he wouldn't have it any other way, but he's still not out of the fight. With his posture changing, Kakarot opens his palms, no longer clenching his fists together. Vegeta's confused and kind of amused, wondering what he's going to do. Kakarot rushes towards Vegeta. Just before his hand meets Vegeta's face, the prince deflects it, but when he deflects it, a blast shoots out of Kakarot's hand. The knockback of the blast moves Kakarot's hand away from where Vegeta deflected it and bringing it back to his person. Kakarot then goes in once again with his right hand and smashes his palm straight into Vegeta's skull. But the attack doesn't end there. He soon feels the heat of a blast coming out of his palm and soon gets hit by a blast coming out of it. Kakarot doesn't waste the opportunity and goes for another open palm strike on Vegeta's chest, hitting him once again and also, like last time, followed by a blast. Kakarot lets out a shout saying, "Now!" with Vegeta not being able to see anything, he looks around for a few seconds before hearing a shout of "Killer Weekend" as an attack and heat comes from up above him. He thinks fast and quickly shoots off a Gallic gun to try and hold his own. Very weakly charged Gallic gun, but it's actually able to hold off the attack for a few seconds, soon entering a beam struggle. Turles and Raditz pour everything they have into this clash, while Vegeta is pouring more energy in and slowly gaining ground. Kakarot, seeing his friends and family is losing, begins to try and distract Vegeta, throwing punches, throwing blasts, not really doing much to distract Vegeta. However, soon he smashes his two fists together and charges up a massive beam, shooting it straight towards Vegeta. This causes the prince to lose concentration just a few seconds, as the attack hits, not doing as much damage as Vegeta thought, but he realizes that he stopped concentrating on his Gallic gun just enough for Turles and Raditz to overpower him. The two beams begin to combine and crush straight into Vegeta, pummeling him straight into the ground. Vegeta lets out a scream of pain and anger, clings to life with all he's got, and slowly manages to survive the blast but falls unconscious. With Turles and Raditz completely out of energy, seeing they won, they collapse to the ground, completely out of anything they had left. The pair had taken quite a beating, and even though it's not as severe as the others, they're still having a hard time moving their bodies. Being out of energy isn't helping with that. As for Kakarot, completely out of energy and probably being in the worst condition out of any of the Saiyans, being beaten so heavily, he passes out completely, with him falling down to the ground with a massive smile on his face, as he thinks to himself he beat two elites today. Yeah, he had to use some help from the other two, but next time he fights Vegeta, he'll make sure that he wins with no one else's help. With him soon being able to see only black, he passes out. A while passes, and Kakarot feels the warmth of a fire, and soon feels the glow of light come through his eyes. He wakes up to see all the Saiyans sat around, talking to one another. They're all kind of cheerful, weirdly. Nappa doesn't look happy, but he doesn't look too pissed off like normal, as he munches down on what looks to be an alien of this planet. Vegeta, though quiet like normal, does share a look over to Kakarot, seeing him waking up. Turles and Raditz are also happy to see him wake up. Don't show it, and show their normal Saiyan bravado, saying how it took him long enough. Kakarot laughs a little bit as he looks around. He's surprised that they're all at each other's throats right now, but he assumes it's down to ki absorption and them all being pretty roughed up. Alongside that, sometimes a good way to get to know one another is just beating the fuck out of one another, especially in Saiyan culture. Raditz and Turles share how once they had gathered some energy, they went off and found Nappa and brought him here, before going off and destroying the rest of the planet. It was only a quick job. The inhabitants here were pretty weak and it only took them maybe a few hours. Kakarot's happy to hear the job's complete before looking over to Nappa, saying, "Are we going to have any more problems?" Nappa is annoyed and grits his teeth before shaking his head, saying that they'll be alright. "As long as you don't steal my fights anymore, Kakarot." Kakarot smirks as he looks over to Nappa. "Next time I'll give your old bones a few seconds to warm up and get towards the fight. But I'm not promising I won't take the good fights." Nappa's clearly annoyed this isn't the response he wanted. But when he goes to stand up, his body still aches from the few blows Kakarot did, which did some important damage. Everyone here is pretty roughed up, but Nappa's probably in really good condition. Keep in mind, right now he only had a quick, brief brawl with Kakarot, with the small Saiyan getting some small decisive hits in, which led to him knocking out Nappa. Nappa's head also hurts an awful lot right now. Kakarot then asks the same question to Vegeta. Vegeta just scoffs, saying that they'll be fine. So what's this plan about overthrowing Frieza? Kakarot asks how much of the plan Vegeta knows, with him saying, "I don't know any of it. Your brother and Turles over there refused to share much, saying you were the mastermind and I needed to ask you." They don't know anything about my plan, Vegeta. They were just messing with you. And you two, don't make out like you know what's going on here. I haven't shared my plan with anyone. So, when fighting an opponent like Frieza, someone who's so much stronger than you, there's only so much you can do to account for the power difference. When I was fighting you, Vegeta, I knew your fighting style, and I knew what type of person you were. So I used that and turned the fight in my favor. Making you overconfident was a good way to do it, and also, certain moments in your fighting style give me a quick opening to land a punch. Might have not been effective, but I got a few hits in because of it. And luckily, Nappa wasn't too much stronger than me. Thanks to knowing how he fights, I was easily able to defeat him. So, I need to learn Frieza's fighting style, but that means I need to watch him fight. The only issue is, no one's ever been strong enough to fight him. So, I think our best bet is to learn how to use the Ozaru form and control it without losing our minds. Of course, that's not a problem for you and Nappa over there, but for me, Turles and Raditz, it's a task that we've struggled with for a while. I've tried on many occasions to do so, and I've made some progress, but it's nowhere near fast enough. I need your help to show and teach us how to become Ozarus and keep control. But it's our best bet to defeat Frieza. So, are you in? Vegeta thinks for a minute, scratching his chin. Now understanding why he wasn't killed. Nappa also kind of understands why he wasn't killed. Having two teachers definitely would be more beneficial, but Vegeta was definitely the one they needed. Vegeta thinks before smirking. What do I get if I help you? What's in it for me? I'm quite happy living like this until I become the legendary Super Saiyan. Kakarot sighs. He's annoyed. He knew he was going to say something like this, but was sort of hoping he wouldn't. I don't get you. How do you want to stay under this army? You don't get to make your own decisions. I'm confined to get sent off and destroy a planet, kill the strong inhabitants, and get back to his mission. Report to be a good little lapdog. That's infuriating. All I want to do is be the strongest in this universe. I want to go off, find strong people, and fight them. That's all I want to do. I don't need anything else. I can't do that in this stupid army. He's been sending us on easier and easier missions recently, and it's been driving me crazy. I've itched for a good battle for weeks, months. Hell, even years. I've wanted a good fight for so long, and I got it finally in today against you and Nappa, a decision we made on our own. I got to enjoy a fight, and my life was on the line, and my Saiyan blood has never boiled so much. I was so excited. And now you're talking about just accepting living under Frieza, not trying to fight your way out? Where's your sense of pride, almighty prince? You scared? Vegeta's annoyed and almost stands up, but then remembers he actually can't walk at the moment. Vegeta looks over to Kakarot, saying how he doesn't see the point in training low class who won't be able to turn the tide of fight at all. Best, they would just be cannon fodder, hopefully, so Frieza couldn't get to him. Raditz is annoyed as he shouts out to Vegeta, saying that these low class Saiyans actually beat you today. Just remember what you're talking about. Vegeta's annoyed once again, as he reminds them that it took all three of them working together to beat him. This is true, however, they all shout out that they will defeat him on their own one day, and he shouldn't underestimate them. This gets a laugh out of Vegeta and even out of Nappa. Turles, annoyed at this one, says if they're not going to help, they should say so. They'll just kill them now. Nappa stands up, being able to just about do so, with Turles and Raditz doing the same. These are about to fight when Vegeta's laugh stops everything. Fine, I'll teach you free. But if you can't keep up with my training, don't go crying to me. Also, if and when we kill Frieza, I'm taking control of his empire. You three will work under me. Well, that's if you survive the battle against Frieza. And also, Kakarot, you can feel free to try and become the strongest in the universe. However, as long as I'm around, I will always be ahead of you. If you need me to beat some sense into you once I'm Emperor, I will, just for the fun of it. Kakarot laughs, nods his head. They shake hands, very heavily. Both share an annoyed grin at one another. And after a night's rest, most of them are able to move. So they head off the planet and head back to the nearest Frieza planet, where they get their rest and enter a healing pod. All of them seeing massive growth from this. That's something for next time. Sorry for how long this second part went on for. It seemed the first part did pretty well and everyone liked it, so I decided to have quite a long part, and being so it's been a while since I've had a long part, I thought I should do it. Also, I'm sorry for not uploading in nearly a week. I had some family stuff come up and I didn't want to, do anything for a while. I just sort of wanted to be on my own. And I apologise about that. I'm sorry, this first part is kind of, if it's not the best, I know it's just the Saiyan saga done first, and there's a massive time skip. But I didn't want to cover some stuff when Kakarot was a child. It seemed kind of counterproductive. So for now, this is where I'm leaving everything. If people want this next part to come out, let me know. I'm quite enjoying this, and I'll probably write out the third part very soon. Anyway, with that all said and done, I do just want to thank the person who I got the art commissioned from. It is beautiful. She got it done so fast, and please go check her out. Her link will be in the description. So I hope you all have a good day or a good night, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.